All right, everyone. I just want to start by thanking you for being here. Again, we'll probably have some people kind of come in as we go on, but I just want to give you a rundown of what tonight looks like, and then we'll go into our first ticket. So we're going to start with recorder, go into treasurer, take a quick break for our president, vice president, just a couple minutes so they can get prepared and we can move tables, and then we'll do that. So the recorder and treasurer debate, again, they're running unopposed, we only have one candidate. They're going to do an opening statement. I'm going to provide 3 questions with them, and then we're going to open it up to audience questions. We're going to do about 3 if there are enough, and then we're going to do a closing statement. And again, recorder and treasurer are going to look like that. President and vice president, I will explain a little more once we get there. Okay? Again, thank you for being here. So we're going to start with Grace Greaving.
Thank you, Jenna. So, good evening, everyone. You guys may know me. I'm Grace Greaving. I'm running for recorder. I'm a second year majoring in actuarial science. I'm from a small town called Elkhorn in southwest Iowa. It's about 4 hours away from Wartburg. I try to be kind of involved on campus. I'm a resident assistant in Grossman. As the current student body recorder, I lead the political action committee, and I am involved in the committee whose primary purpose is to improve upon our dining services on campus, as well as a committee focused on renewing our bylaws. I have also had the opportunity to sit on the Leadership Certificate Program Committee, who has been very instrumental in creating the upcoming Master of Arts program in leadership. I've been involved in the newly recognized Actuarial Science Club, Homecoming Committee, Wartburg Sparkles, and have sat on the Academic Policy Committee last year through Student Senate. I would like to be your Wartburg College 2020-2021 student body recorder for many reasons, primarily to effect positive change in the Wartburg community and to continue to be a liaison for communication for my fellow students, faculty, staff, and administration. I believe myself to be a great asset to the Senate executive team. I have values that closely align with that of Wartburg College and Student Senate, the moral obligation to effect positive change through Wartburg College in service and leadership, as well as in my ability to act as a strong voice for our student body. Pertinent skills and assets that I bring to the Student Senate executive team are as follows. I seek to understand the different perspectives and open civil discourse through productive conversation. If I have learned anything in my time at Wartburg, it's the importance of diverse thinking and the ability to discuss said thinking, regardless of how that may personally affect you. Additionally, I find I work best when continually challenged to expand upon my ability to work through prioritizing and balancing all commitments evenly. Not only am I a student, a resident assistant, a senator, a committee member, a friend, a sister, a daughter, I'm a person. No one thing takes priority over the rest. Life is more about treating everything as a balancing act rather than focusing on one thing at a time. Finally, with my current experience of holding this position during this current academic year, I will have the ability to provide my executive team with tools to succeed in the upcoming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. So we're going to move on to our first question, which is, what do you see as the recorder's most important role within Senate?
I think the recorder's most important role is, again, being a liaison between our students, our faculty, and administration, making sure that everyone knows what's going on and we have complete transparency through everything that's going on through Senate.
Next one. How do you intend to make Student Senate more efficient and effective?
I think that starts with sort of reorganizing our committees. I think that making the committees have a more active role in Senate and sort of giving everyone something to do is important. And through that, we can sort of reorganize the way that Senate works.
And then as a leader of political action committee, like you mentioned, how will your leadership skills benefit and enhance this committee in the upcoming year, hopefully in long term?
So I really enjoy leading by example and sort of leading by showing others what to do. And so through PAC, we've had some amazing discussions about politics, all things Senate, and the things that are going on. So I really enjoyed that, so I'll continue that through the next academic term.
This time, I'd like to open it up to any audience questions that we may have.
Joy.
What's your best joke?
My best joke, currently, I've used quite a few in Senate. So I used to be addicted to hokey pokey, but don't worry, I turned myself around.
Do we have any other additional questions? Okay, Grace, you can have this floor for your closing statement.
All right. And again, my name is Grace. I would like to be your guys' student body recorder for next year. If you ever have any questions, I would really, really genuinely love to hear anything you have to say. Through our current Senate executive team, I've learned so much, and I hope to do so next year. Thank you.
Jordan, thank you. Whenever you are ready, you can have the floor for your opening statement.
Okay, good evening everyone. Thank you so much for coming. As Jenna mentioned, my name is Jordan and I'm a third-year accounting and business double major with a minor in data analytics, and I am running for student body treasurer. I believe that my prior experience on Senate has developed my skills to serve effectively. To fulfill the role of student body treasurer requires the attributes of fiscal responsibility, an ability to lead, and an ability to communicate effectively. As I have served as student body treasurer this year, I've been able to learn the most effective way to manage the funding of Student Senate. I've been able to continue my time on the President's Budget Advisory Committee, furthering my opportunity to use my position to advocate for the financial situations of students. I've also proven my leadership skills on campus. Through my time as a resident assistant and student body treasurer, I have used my financial and organizational skills to organize meetings effectively, especially during my leading of the Budget Review Committee and my bi-weekly meetings with faculty through my exec position. And despite having many responsibilities, I've continuously given my time to support the Wartburg community. Specifically, there are 3 goals that I would like to accomplish during my second tenure as treasurer. After mastering the basics of the position this year, as there are many ins and outs and flows of the position that are very stagnant, I believe I'll be able to focus most of my time on continuity in the position, which is vital for the future impact on students. First, I would like to continue to increase the allocational claim rate. That was something I set out to do during my first campaign last year, and I've been able to increase it by about 10%, which is really exciting. So I hope to see that upward trend continue. Secondly, I want to start building structure into the treasurer position to ensure longevity within Senate. That's something we've been talking about as an exec team, and it's something that I really want to focus my time on. And third, I want to continue giving various responsibilities to the members of the Budget Review Committee so that we can help as many students as possible. My platform this year is a vote for budget efficiency, continuous beneficial change for all, and development of knowledge. My platform is a fiscal voice for the entire student body. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. So we're going to move into a few questions. And as treasurer, what are the goals that you have for this position in the upcoming year? I know you've mentioned a few of them.
Yeah, my main goal is to continue to increase the allocational claim rate. For those of you who don't know, allocations is the set amount of funding that we give out to student organizations. I'm really looking forward to continuing to increase the amount of communication that we have with them, and within the BRC this year we were discussing revamping that entire structure to ensure that all of the organizations are claiming their funding, because it's one of the biggest components of the things that Senate does. And then secondly, the most important thing that I want to focus on is increasing the structure. I think there's room for improvement on continuity, just so that we can ensure that the budget is being used more efficiently beyond just 1-year terms. I think there is room to improve in the long-term structure.
Perfect, thank you. Could you describe a project or a situation that best demonstrated your analytical and financial abilities?
Oh, wow. This year, coming off of a long 3-year term of the last student body treasurer, I really have been working on kind of revamping the budget. It's been very kind of stagnant in the way that things have been going. So this year I've been really focused on trying to rework the way that we're spending our funding. And what I've learned this year is that it's not so much about policing every single dollar. While it is important to kind of understand where everything is going, obviously I want to ensure that our money is being spent well, it is also important to understand the flexibility. So working with the other members of the exec team in completing their projects has been really beneficial to ensuring that everything is effective.
Thank you. And as you know, budget reports can be complicated, especially for those who are unaware of that format or language. How do you plan to successfully share maybe that more difficult information with the Senate and then the greater student body?
I think it really does start within the Senate. we do like budget reports in the 2 semesters that we go through, and what's really important to me with disseminating that information is ensuring that everybody understands. Especially for new senators, it's easy for exec team members to kind of lose that point of view that not everybody understands what everything is. And so for me, it's really important that there is that opportunity to share that information. I do know a lot, and so for me, the most important part is kind of taking it back to the basics and making sure that everyone understands so that they can make sure that everyone else understands.
Perfect, thank you. This time I'd like to open it up to any audience questions. Okay, seeing none, then you can move on to your closing statement.
All right. I'd just like to thank you all again for coming tonight and contributing to the process by being informed voters. My desire overall in running for student body treasurer lies in the chance to fulfill the needs of the student body. I believe I'll be the best for this position because I've taken the time as a senator and also as student body treasurer this year to note the funding needs of students, and I'm willing and able to make the changes that are necessary to best benefit everyone. I look forward to enacting long-lasting change in what would be my second term as student body treasurer. Thank you.
So again, we're just going to take a minute or two to get set up and get our other candidates down on the floor.
Andrew and I didn't expect this to Yes, you're writing the name of it. So I would make the other news of the first tickets. Next Tuesday. Yeah. Well, we're trying to get him tonight, and he's going to sign the and like I said, I'm also going to try and...
Oh, you're good. We should get
Candidates, are you guys good? Good to go? Okay. I'll kind of talk everyone through what this is going to look like. So we're going to start with opening statements. As per usual, Emma and Yusra are going to start, and Darren and Brent, you guys will follow. We're going to have about 5 questions, and they have an opportunity for about a 2-minute response per each. But with each question, both tickets will answer, and both tickets will have an opportunity to rebuttal. And then we'll flip-flop that order to ensure that everybody has the opportunity. Again, we'll open up to audience questions, probably 3 to 5, and then we'll have closing statements. So with that, Emma and Yusra, you have the floor.
Thank you. All right, hello everyone. My name is Yusra Malik, and I am running for student body president. I am a 3rd year majoring in neuroscience with a minor in Spanish, and currently I serve as the executive assistant of diversity.
Hello, my name is Emma Williams. I am running for student body vice president. I am currently a 3rd year from Osage, Iowa. I am double majoring in graphic design and studio art with minors in leadership and public relations. I currently serve as the Student Senate Public Relations Director.
Emma and I have worked together in a variety of different settings on campus, but through serving together for 2 years as members of orientation staff and the Student Senate executive team, it has made 2 things very clear. We are both incredibly passionate about the people on this campus, and we are a strong team when it comes to collaborating with others and each other.
Our 2 years of experience on the Student Senate executive team is unmatched. Yusra has served as the executive assistant to diversity, and I have served as the public relations director, both for 2 years. We have both been able to serve the student body under 2 different leadership teams. Through this, we have been able to see what works well and what can be improved. These leadership experiences have helped fully prepare us to take the next step in serving others and to fully bridge the gap between the student body and the administration.
We cannot effectively serve the student body without hearing and acting upon the voices of our peers. In order to effectively evaluate ourselves as strong servant leaders, we will be working toward one common goal: to listen, hear, and support the student body in all ways necessary to ensure change and inclusivity are present on our campus. If you have had the opportunity to read our application, you know that longevity and inclusivity are a priority for us within these elected positions. We are looking to make a lasting impact that goes farther than just the year we are able to potentially serve in these positions.
It is time that we truly consider our current students and their voices in every discussion. We value the ideas of other students, and we plan to show this by including varying perspectives in all decisions. In order to do that, there will be strategic appointments within the executive team and leadership positions within Student Senate to ensure we have diversity of thought. In addition, we are creating plans to meet with varying organizations and individuals on our campus to ensure that we are hearing their perspectives. Fostering a relationship with our peers is a high priority for both of us, and this will continue to be done properly.
It is important to acknowledge that our institution tends to nurture the students that need to be challenged and challenges the students who need to be nurtured. With this being said, we would like to contribute to more of an equal ground to ensure all students are being challenged and nurtured in the appropriate ways. One of the plans we want to see come to life in the next year is to create more inclusivity trainings. Last week, we hosted a sexual assault and bystander prevention training, and we are passionate to take that a few steps forward. Every student deserves to have a place here, and it is not up to that individual to educate others on their right to exist on this campus. We want to use our positions and privilege to help educate our peers on topics that would potentially include the LGBTQIA+ community, disabilities, race, religion, and so much more. With this initiative, we would collaborate with Student Life, Pathways, potentially the social work department, and other third-party resources to formulate a plan of action to further this project. Not being informed about these topics is an incredible injustice to so many of our peers on campus, and we can all work together to better our community to be more accepting and inclusive.
If the student body is compelled to elect us into these positions, we are certain that we will do whatever it takes to ensure that each student on this campus feels like they have a place and a voice here. It is time that we foster an environment where we can all work together in an inclusive way to be a catalyst for change. Again, we thank you all for joining us tonight as we are honored to be given this platform to hear the voices of our peers and to share the vision of our campaign.
Thank you.
Darren?
Hello everyone, my name is Darren Kilpatrick and I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm a third year majoring in biochemistry with a minor in computer science, and I'm running for the position of student body president. For the past 2 years, I have served Senate as a prominent member of the Budget Review Committee, working alongside the Treasurer to provide supplemental and allocational funding to students and to maintain a balanced Senate budget.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brett Kelting. I'm from Wheatland, Iowa. I'm also a third-year student with a double major in accounting and business administration with a minor in data analytics. For the past 2 years, I've served Student Senate under the Academic Policies Committee and the Budget Review Committee. And currently, I am the chairman of the Bylaws Committee within Senate. Darren and I decided to run for president and vice president because we know our beliefs for the student body at Wartburg will fall in line, just in line with the Wartburg mission statement.
The decision for Brett and I took a lot of thought and contemplation, as we know it is a huge commitment. While working with Brett on BRC this past year, I found that we share a common passion and pride for this college, and we will stop at nothing to do what is right for the people just like you sitting before us. We have worked hard with the rest of Senate and our previous administration specifically to develop a strong foundation of expectations for our student body. Our goal is to build upon this foundation. Starting this fall, we will work diligently to provide a stronger bridge between student organizations and Student Senate, a safer and more comfortable Wartburg, an atmosphere of cultural competency, and finally, a platform for all students so that their voice may be heard.
Today, we believe that there is a gap between Student Senate and other student organizations. Student Senate is an organization that should be utilized by these other organizations. Under our administration, we would like to invite members from other student organizations to come and talk about what they do, who they are, and what they represent. This will not only give Senate the opportunity to understand more, but it will also spark interest for senators to join these organizations and continue to be leaders across campus.
In regards to the student body, increasing our safety and comfortability is vital. No student should ever have to worry about their well-being on our campus, but we realize that there are many students who currently feel unhappy or unsafe. Brett and I will work hard to ensure that our campus is safe for all students and free of offensive, discriminatory, or unwanted sexual behavior. We will achieve this goal by working to increase the available resources that will provide help to people in such positions. Additionally, having experience working on BRC, we will carefully and effectively review our budget to attempt to cut costs without impacting our students' comfort.
Finally, an expectation of cultural competency on this campus is a main focus for Darren and I. The first step in developing cultural competency is valuing diversity. In our career at Wartburg, diversity has been a main focal point to many students' administrations, largely in part to the work of EAD Malik. For our administrations, we will work with our appointed EAD and to provide more awareness about open discussions between faculty and students.
Thank you all for coming, and we look forward to hearing all of your questions.
Alright, so we're going to move into our questions section. Again, we're going to have Emma and Yusra start the first question, and then Darren and Brett on the second question will start. Again, you'll have about a 2-minute response and the rebuttal afterwards. Okay? The first question that we have is, what experiences at Wartburg College not only informed your decision to run, but prepared you to serve as these positions that you're running for today? So Emma and Yusra.
Yeah. For me, I was right from the beginning coming to Wartburg as a first year, I immediately jumped into involvement within Student Senate, and it completely opened my eyes to what different leadership experiences are available on this campus. So during my first year as a senator, I served for Balmer 2, and I was also the hall chair for the Centennial Complex, as well as sitting on the president's cabinet within Student Senate. From there, I saw a potential for growth within leadership on the Student Senate executive team, and now for the last 2 consecutive years, I have been able to serve as the public relations director. And for me, that experience alone has been so empowering to work closely, not only with the current and past vice presidents, but also with our other senators, in order to help streamline almost some of our communication processes and things like that, helping plan social activities such as Outfly, Big Night Out, and Burgapalooza, as well as really heavily focusing on the promotional aspect. I've fully been able and prepared through these experiences to serve as a successful and efficient vice president.
Similar to Emma, I've also sat on the executive team for Student Senate for the past 2 years and have gained a lot of knowledge as to how the executive team works and just how the entire Student Senate works. Along with that, I currently serve as the International Club President. Through that, I have gained a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge as to just what it takes to be a leader of a big organization on campus. Granted, it's not the same as Student Senate, but it has given me a lot of knowledge as to how my leadership is and how I can use that to effectively serve the student body.
Okay, I'd say my experience personally is much different than theirs. As a freshman, I actually was not involved in Student Senate, but it took a little bit longer for me to realize how much pride and care that not only I have for this college, but how much influence Student Senate has and how much good they can serve. And that's why I decided to join Senate in my sophomore year. I'll also say that my experience in volunteering realized how much I care about helping others, and I realized how really fortunate we are to be in the situation that we are in, and that we can make a difference with it being in Senate. I'll also say that being on the baseball team, I've known a lot of other student senators. They've had a lot of great things to say about Senate, and in my time being on Senate, I've made a lot of great relationships with people of all different kinds of involvements, and I think that's been really beneficial to me, and it will serve me well if I am elected as president.
Yeah, and to go along with that, I would say when you play a sport here at Wartburg, you're not just representing yourself on campus, you're representing yourself to other campuses. And for me, that's something where, I found a lot of pride in that. I'm very prideful in not only myself, my friends, but as well as my teammates and especially the school. And along with Darren, I didn't start in Senate until my second year. That first year, I tried to find my voice, trying to figure out totally what I believed in. And with some guidance of some great friends who, like Darren said, were already in Senate, gave me the opportunity to get a voice in Senate. And then when I was in Senate, I kind of realized, wow, this is really cool, and this is something I want to be a part of and represent, not just for myself, but for the campus as a whole.
I think too, Yusra and I have really found that we have loved serving together, especially on the Student Senate executive team, but also on orientation staff for the last 2 years. We've been able to serve our incoming first years and develop relationships with our peers, and to continue to build off of that, we would still continue to serve those students by being elected into these positions.
We've been granted a unique opportunity to work together, to just be together as friends, but to also work together through 2 different outlets, Student Senate as well as orientation staff.
Darren, Brett, do you have anything else to add?
I just add, kind of building off my last point, some of the other involvements that I'm in, I didn't mention them in my introduction. I'm also in Tri Beta and SLS and of course the baseball team, as well as volunteering 2 hours a week at Bartles. And I'd just say that really it's just the connections that we make in all of those experiences. It's not just Senate and how influential we can be, but I think that there's a lot of tools that you can build from all the other experiences that help us in Senate.
And I would say off that, being the president or vice president, it's about seeing your face and along campus and another student that may not know your name, being comfortable enough to talk to you. And I think when you're involved in other organizations like Darren and I are, and Emma and Yusra, it's more important to see people's faces and understand that you can talk to them about anything and it's going to get to the right place.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to our next question. Darren and Brett, you'll have this one first. What short-term or long-term goals do you have for yourself and Student Senate next year?
Well, in terms of short-term goals, I think one of our biggest priorities is giving a bigger voice to each and every one of our students. And how we're going to do that starts with building the connection between senators and their constituency. So one thing that me and Brett had proposed was the idea that there's a night that each senator goes and personally meets each of their constituents in person, so you start to build more of a connection. And then senators will feel a lot more comfortable to go and talk to their senators, and their students will feel a lot more comfortable. And then their opinions and suggestions and problems will reach Senate as a whole at a much higher level if we start to build these connections. And Brett, being a member of the bylaws committee, which you can talk about a little bit more, but they're trying to build the expectations a little bit higher for our student senators so that connection is much stronger.
To go along with that, some long-term goals we had thought about. We understand the difficulties currently of increasing in tuition and service fees for the whole campus. So one thing we'd like to do is work with Vice President Rich Segerman and along with our treasurer, whoever that may be, to talk about the transparency and the accountability of really what goes into increasing costs and why we're increasing them. We could see a little blurb in the trumpet about it, but do we really know where that funding is going to? And that's something that we want to improve accountability and transparency with, which would be a long-term goal for us, not necessarily in the short term.
All right, so Emma and I have put a lot of time and thought towards just what we want to see out of ourselves if we get elected, if we are elected. So some of our long-term plans include inclusivity training, similar to how the current administration introduced the sexual assault and bystander prevention training. We want to include inclusivity trainings, probably starting off with a pilot program for either RAs, orientation staff leaders, the athletes, or the choirs on campus, to try and create that environment of inclusivity. We have diversity, we have a lot of people that come from diverse backgrounds, but we need to see more of the inclusion on this campus. Another long-term plan that we would want to work on is we would want to work with Crystal Madlock and other people in student life to build connections between incoming first years and upperclassmen. So these would be people from the LGBTQIA+ community, people who have racial diversity, religious diversity, all of those, and to be able to connect them so that they have a friendly face when they enter campus.
Another thing we talked about heavily before submitting our application was that we really wanted to build a sense of community, and we wanted to be able to empower not only the rest of our executive team, but also the rest of full Senate and our students within our student body. And so the ideas that we may propose within our application or this debate tonight and through conversations might look different in 6 months. It might look different in a month. It really is varying depending on who we are surrounded by and what issues and concerns come up at the time. And a big thing too is that we just want to create a sense of community where people feel like they can be heard and where they can have a safe space. And to begin with that too, we're really looking to pair with the administration to start some of these topics that we're having conversations about, maybe such as a safe space. There's a lot of logistics that go into creating something like that where people can just be and they don't have to worry about any exterior factors. But when you free space, then you have to then adjust other things in other areas. So it's really a domino effect, and so we would really have to work very closely with the administration. Now, if we are elected, there is a chance that we wouldn't be able to see that within the year, but we can set it up to really help future administrations succeed.
Darren and Brett?
So along with that bystander intervention idea, we had the idea of, for first-year students on opening weekend, integrating this into the first opening weekend. This way, students can fully get an understanding of what sexual harassment and what sexual assault looks like. And I think that's very important for these students because when they come to Wartburg, they may not have an understanding. I surely didn't understand really what that was. But when you come here and you realize what it is, Wartburg College is setting up expectations for not just each freshman, but the classmate that goes in with that. And I think that's something that we really want to implement for this short term.
Yeah, I think Emma made a great point in that the long term we want to kind of establish a culture change of more acceptance and inclusivity. And me and Brett also want to increase the focus on diversity and inclusivity. And we were really thinking about integration and how we can get more students of American backgrounds and multicultural backgrounds and the integration aspect of it. And our idea really was beginning with the freshmen that we have IS requirements perhaps, or other requirements built into the curriculum that would allow freshmen to experience things like peace dialogues, chats, or student organization meetings maybe, where they can start to build that interest, and then that'll carry on, and maybe they'll join that student organization, and we'll see a lot more integration between students of different backgrounds.
Like Yusra and I have mentioned, we serve on orientation staff, and we feel like Brett made a really great comment about how we can really start relaying this information about what sexual misconduct looks like to first years upon entering Wartburg. And I will say orientation staff has really implemented this, but it would be exceptional to see Student Senate move forward to work with orientation staff and other people within the administration and staff and students on this campus to really make sure that that point is driven home. And in all reality, Yusra and I just really want to take actionable, realistic steps to move forward and to create the change that our students would like to see. So with open ears, we are here and we're here to listen, to see and understand what students would like to see happen.
Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Emma and Yusra, you will have this one. How will your tickets serve as mediators between students and the administration when controversial or challenging issues arise?
So I know that based on this past year and being able to work under an administration and knowing that there have been some hot topics that have been brought forward, I think just open communication and being able to reach out and have those conversations with students on campus and with administration, those open conversations, civil discourse is of utmost importance just because we need to be able to hear differing opinions and we need to work towards a common goal to just be able to come to a conclusion at the end.
I think too, conversations can get heavily blown out of proportion, and it's important that we remind each other, especially in leadership positions, to remain level-headed and to really have open ears and open dialogue with people around us, despite whether or not we have agreeing or differing views. And you have to approach each situation in a delicate situation, so it might look different from day to day how you approach that, but as long as we are factoring in the voices of not only the rest of the executive team, the rest of full Senate, and our constituents, we feel like we can make the best informed decisions for the student body because it's not about what we feel and what our perspectives are, it's what we think will be best for everyone based off of what we are hearing.
Well, in my time at Wartburg, I've made a lot of great connections with a variety of faculty members across the curriculum, and I think that's really partially due just to the quality of faculty that our college employs. And I'd say that what really makes me great with connecting with the faculty is how they touched upon the idea of openness and respect. And I think that an open conversation and transparency is crucial in these relationships, especially in areas of controversy. We want everybody to know what's going on, whether it be faculty, student senate, and student body alike. And one thing with openness that we really wanted to talk about was the proposal of an open forum.
So one thing we kicked around while we were talking about running was an idea for an open forum, where somewhere in one of the Wartburg websites that we can get to, we would have a drop-down box where you could send a direct message to anybody, like President Colson or Dean Kittle or someone of importance that you feel like you need to have a conversation with. While this is supposed to be from student to senator, senator to the rest of the Senate, that doesn't always happen. Some people don't feel comfortable enough talking to their senator about a problem they may have. While we think that we can do this either directly or anonymous, we feel like it would be the best direct option for students to communicate with faculty if they do not feel comfortable or have the time to meet with them otherwise.
So through our connections on campus, I think one thing that me and Emma would really want to encourage is these students to actually attend Senate and to attend these meetings. I know that we usually get just senators to come to our meetings, but we really want to build off of having those constituents come to these meetings and talk to their senators through them. We do have a time set in during Senate meetings for anybody who's not a senator to speak up and to voice their opinions and voice whatever their concerns are. And so we would want to encourage bringing those senators to full Senate.
And if you've had the chance to read our application, we touched briefly on how similar to what Brett and Darren have proposed is that we could have an open link where students could provide feedback, comments, questions, concerns, things like that, just to really encourage openness and to really hear the voices of our constituents.
Darren and Brett.
So we talked about the forum. The most important thing is, the transparency between faculty and students, and I think that's one thing that our administration would really look forward to and strive for, and continuing to do so.
Yeah, and just to go along with what Yusra was saying, I think that in times of controversy, we should have a lot more of the student body attending our meetings. And I think the only really time that you saw that happen this year was with Turning Point USA, because it was a controversial topic. And there was students who actually came and watched, and I think that should be happening on a regular basis.
Okay, we'll move on to our next question. Darren and Brett will have this one first. So both president and vice president work closely to lead and guide the executive team. Can you guys describe your ability as a ticket to effectively balance the team and potentially resolve any conflict that may arise?
Yeah, absolutely. So what sets me and Brett apart, we believe, is our relationship. Because we've been friends for years, and one thing that we really think is valuable is the ability to tell each other off. When we know that we have differing opinions, we aren't afraid to speak up and make a compromise or different connections. And I think that we can bring that value to Senate exec team and the Senate as a whole, so there's more disagreements and more open discussion and more honesty within us. And in reality, that'd be extremely beneficial, but something that's hard to get out is that we need to not be afraid of conflict and telling each other openness and honesty.
And another thing, it's an executive team, and that's what it is. It's not just going to be the vice president and the president making the decisions together. And I think that's the most important thing for us, even though we've never sat on an executive team, but we've been a part of other teams where we really do understand what it takes. And it's the voices of everyone in that group coming together for a collaborative decision that's the best for not just us as an executive team, but as a whole Senate, as a whole student body, as a whole college. Because there's a lot of people who've gone through Wartburg that want to see it continue to strive for excellence, and that's what we're kind of going for with our relationship, as friends, but as well as a combined executive team.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe both Emma and I thrive in areas where we can work with people, and so our leadership skills will truly come out when we work with an executive team. And like they mentioned, it is a team, and we need to be able to work together, but also there needs to be diversity of thought, and we need to be able to have an executive team who do have those differing opinions, because we need to make sure that we are representing the student body. That's one thing that we are going to keep reminding ourselves if we do get elected, is that we are representing the student body. We need to separate what we feel versus what the student body feels. And so that's going to be an important distinction that we make during our administration.
And while we have served on the Student Senate executive team, I will say the leadership in the past and going forward still to this day has been incredible when encouraging executive team members to disagree with each other and to really talk out the differing perspectives, because in order to make the best decision, you have to accommodate and acknowledge the other perspectives and opinions in the room. And a big thing too is inviting other people to have a seat at the table. It might be the executive team that is maybe making a decision, but it's important that we also gauge the rest of full Senate and what their constituents are saying. Because in order to do exactly what we're appointed into these positions by the student body to do, we have to actually listen and hear the people around us.
Yeah, and to touch on that, the different interests. Darren and I are friends, but there are plenty of things we have disagreements upon. And along with that, if whoever the treasurer, recorder, and other appointed positions that the president and vice president have, it's just about gathering different backgrounds, different diversity, different knowledge on different topics. That's really going to not only improve the executive team, but Senate as a whole.
Yeah, and just working on the exec team, I would say, is similar to working on a type of committee. And I think that my experience on the Budget Review Committee, especially with Treasurer Flaherty, she often seeks out devil's advocate or seeing both sides of the opinion when she's making a decision. And even if nobody feels that way, it's good just to have those differing sides to seek out what is true and what is good.
Mr. Noah.
We don't have anything.
Okay.
We've said what we
Thank you.
needed.
So we're going to move on to our final prepared question. This is kind of in summary. This question says, if elected, what would be your top priority? It could be you maybe as your ticket or even your position, whatever you choose. What is your top priority and how would you go about addressing it?
I think we've mentioned this a couple times throughout this debate as well, but I think our top priority is just making sure that we are representing the student body. The student body is who elects us, and so we need to make sure that we are always reminded that they put us in this position for a reason. We need to make sure that we are continuously serving them and continuously striving for hearing whatever they have to say, listening to their opinions, just being there for them. So I think that's one thing that I know is really important for the both of us.
If you've seen our posters and our social media accounts, you've probably noticed that it says, it's time for change and inclusivity with leadership built to last. And that's essentially what we're trying to do. We're trying to hear what our student body needs and what changes they need to see, and we are looking for ways to make it all last.
Well, I'd say at Senate's core, its function is to listen to the student body and to carry out the suggestions and problems that they are solving and experiencing. And I'd say, so the biggest issue that Senate needs to deal with is just providing a bigger voice to underrepresented students right now. And I'd say that the way that we've already touched upon a little bit is building that connection between student senate and the student body. And as I've already mentioned earlier, it starts with the senators, and we're going to create a much higher expectations for our senators so that they can seek out the opinions and students feel a lot more comfortable providing those opinions.
Yeah, and I'd say that's definitely the top priority for us representing the students. But for us as a ticket, I think for the future of this college, we feel very passionately, because we were on BRC, about the finances that go into Wartburg College. There are things, across statewide about the difficulties of small private colleges, about how difficult it is to succeed right now. And we're so passionate about Wartburg. We want nothing but best for Wartburg, the students, the alumni, future students. That's what we want. And that's our goal as going towards, personally, we want to look towards increasing budget or making it a lot easier for students to go to school at a great place like Wartburg.
I think too, we are really going to focus, along with our executive team and full Senate, to really take actionable steps in a realistic way to ensure that students are represented and heard, and that information is being clearly communicated. Because without actually having firm actionable steps, there's no way that it will be able to be fulfilled.
And I just also want to add is that these are our ideas, but we also work with a team of people and we work with the entirety of full Senate. And so we are, again, more than willing to just hear what the executive team has to say and hear what full Senate has to say. Our ideas are, we are able to change where we want to focus and where we want to put our time and effort towards.
We have no rebuttal.
Okay. So that is all the questions that we have prepared. I would like to open up to any potential audience questions. Okay, one in the corner.
Can I ask you?
Let's start with one and we can maybe come back, okay?
So, how do you differentiate between safe speech and free speech on campus?
Did you say safe spaces and free speech?
No, safe speech and free speech.
Oh, safe and free speech. Okay, gotcha. Who will go first?
Let's do Darren and Brett since you guys just answered.
Sounds
Can I
good.
just ask for a clarification when you say safe speech?
Yeah, so since free speech is like you can speak whatever you want to speak, right?
So-
but like some certain topic that you cannot speak, so how do you differentiate that?
Well, I think that it's all students' rights to have freedom of speech at all times, but at the same time, we're never going to intentionally offend anybody, or do we think that it should ever be tolerated that anybody should be offended? I think that, in one sense, safe speech, or I'll call it political correctness, can sway us from the truth sometimes, and I think that freedom of speech should always be our priority in seeking the truth. However, I do feel that no student should ever feel unwelcome or uncomfortable, and I think that the safety and comfort of the students is still our number one priority. I agree with that.
Similar to what they just mentioned, it's important that we value what everybody has to say, but it's also very important that we value our students' safety on campus as well. Some speech can be hurtful to students on campus, and we need to ensure that we are putting students' safety first. And that's, we need to make sure that students feel like they belong here on campus. We as an institution pride ourselves on the fact that Wartburg is home for so many of our students. Wartburg can't be home if they don't feel safe, and so we want to make sure that we are making this campus as safe as we can, including with the speech aspect, so that as many students can feel at home here.
You start and you guys get the next one, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, another audience question. Kaylee?
My question is specifically for Brett and Darren. Both in your promotional materials and also in your application, you talk about how your mission is promoting cultural competency and also working on retention rates. Being that one of the worst retention rates on this campus is within domestic multicultural student population, what initiatives have you taken in the past to help students of color and what do you plan to do in the future?
Yeah, so just with the cultural competency, I think it really just boils down to understanding that we all have different experiences. Even, me and you and everyone else in this room, we've all come from a different background. And I think that's one thing that we have to understand here at Wartburg is that, not everyone feels the same way about every single thing. And the application of that, I feel like, really starts when you get here. And I understand that it's easier to target freshmen or first years when they do come in to college, to really get them to understand what cultural competency means and setting up an establishment of a basis for what that really proves at Wartburg. We would like to do that by, like what we said, we would like to introduce peace dialogues, chats with Dean Kittle, going to other student organization meetings. That's something that we feel is beneficial in growing a more well-rounded, diverse background.
And then to build upon that, I think that with the retention rates, I know that Trevor's done a lot of great work this year developing the retention committee and working to find out why so many minorities or multicultural students, the retention rate is a little lower. And what I think it's about is just building those connections with other students, and as we've talked about a little bit with the tuition, but I do think that building connections early as a freshman with all types of students is what's going to be most beneficial in keeping more students here and making them enjoying their time at Wartburg College.
So we'll move on to our next question. Josh.
I can tell you from experience that these positions take a lot of time. All of you are very involved individuals, but there will likely be something that you will have to give up in order to maintain probably about 15 hours a week that you're going to have to put into this job. Are you willing to step away from any of the many involvements that you're involved into in order to ensure that you can properly represent the student body?
Okay, Emma, we'll start with you.
I have learned this lesson the very hard way last fall when I said yes to far too many things because I am absolutely incredibly passionate about Wartburg College. Through that, I found a very high level of stress that I was carrying on my shoulders every week. And I had to reassess where my priorities were laying at as I was navigating the fall term of my third year on campus. And now that I've become more realistic about what my goals to continue to participate in Senate look like, I've started communicating with other executive teams that I sit on and other committees that there is a chance that I may have to step back next year because I'm 100% willing to step away from a few other organizations or committees in order to serve the entirety of our student body.
As Emma stated, I am also 100% willing to step away from any activities or anything that I'm a part of that could hinder me from doing my job here to effectively serve the student body. We came into this knowing that our goal 100% is to just be the voice for the student body. And if we need to take a couple steps back from different organizations and different things that we are a part of, we are more than okay with that because we have one goal in mind, and that's to serve the student body.
And just one more thing to add to that is that you really, as a student, you can't do it all. It's incredible and so empowering to be involved in a variety of different activities. But if you're really looking at the true definition of how Wartburg College defines leadership, it's to also uplift others. And so in order to step back from different organizations, to allow other students to step into those leadership positions is completely worthwhile because then we'll still be able to serve others.
Darren and Brett.
So thankfully, I spent a lot of my organizational time within Senate. As chairman of the bylaw committee and being on BRC, it takes up some time. But along with that, I'm the Phi Eta Sigma treasurer. I'd definitely be willing to drop the treasurer from Phi Eta Sigma. And then along with that, I'm a part of the baseball team, which is my biggest time commitment in time management. If anyone has a question about how to manage your time while playing baseball, being the student body president, you can just talk to Trevor. He's been doing it this year. But you know, the biggest important thing for me is I have no problem staying up late, doing homework, getting minimal sleep as long as I am representing the student body. I mean, that's what, you know, I love to be busy. I love to do things. I love to support people. I love to be there for people. And I'm willing to do that as president. I have no problems with staying up late, getting up early, as long as it's beneficial. It's for the beneficial of Wartburg College.
Yeah, I think Josh can agree that there's probably no experience quite like being student body president. There's no exact experience that can entirely prepare you for the situation. And I think that being involved in the past is what has really helped me be as prepared as possible. But I will say that with living in the res, I do volunteer on a 2-hour-a-week schedule, and I won't be living there next year, so that'll drop 2 hours out of my week. And having an on-campus job right now, I also will not be partaking in next year, so that'll free up a decent amount of my time.
Thank you for those answers. Do we have any additional audience questions? Yes. Wyatt, I saw your hand. Oh,
okay. So I've heard all four of you talk about how you want to get more students involved in discussion when it comes to safety and inclusivity, and I'm a little tired of hearing that because I've heard that from like presidential candidates, student presidential candidates for the past 3 years now. So what I'm asking from you now is I want real structured plans and ideas for how you're going to ensure the safety of women, not just cisgender women, transgender women, queer women, safety of every student. That's what I'd like to hear.
Darren and Brett, you'll have this one first.
Okay, well first, with the sexual assault, I know that we've talked a little bit about the Riverview Center and our plan for that, but I think this is more of a term of acceptance we're looking at, correct? Rather than policy with sexual assault prevention. And I think that that really builds into our whole mission of diversity and culture change. And as I said, with increased integration, and that starts with freshmen, we need to drill it into our freshmen so that they know coming in what the expectations are and what the resources are when they find themselves in troubling circumstances. But I think we need to mix up some of our IOS curriculum to better prepare them for our culture on campus, which of course includes acceptance. And another thing about that, with going with security and safety of our students, Wartburg is shockingly lacking in lights and cameras on campus. It is incredible how much like vandalism or something occurs with safety of students and it's not caught on camera because we just simply don't have cameras outside. And also late at night, our campus is incredibly dim and I think that lights are absolutely vital.
Okay. You start.
We would really look to the administration and we would place a heavy amount of pressure on the administration to hear the concerns of students like you, Wyatt, who bring questions up like this. And an actionable step that we could take with these inclusivity trainings, also requiring the security officers that serve our student body to be there and be present, because I know competency across our entire campus, whether it's faculty, staff, anybody on this campus and students, they all need to be aware of this. And so by making even requirements and working with different departments within on our campus, we can maybe even make it required, make these things required, because the people that also need the trainings sometimes aren't the ones who are willing to show up and to sit at the table with the people who are different from them. And so it's not just cisgendered women, it's everybody on our campus. It's also trans men. It's everybody. It's encompassing all of our multicultural students. It's really looking at the entirety of our student body to how our marginalized students are feeling unsafe and hearing their voices, because the people who are marginalized are the people who are going to have the ideas that will make them more comfortable. And so by hearing their voices, it is essential to act on making them feel more safe.
Diversity is also sometimes seen as a number rather than what it truly is. And so one thing that we really want to work towards is humanizing the diversity that we have on this campus to the administration. Humanizing that so that the administration sees what we need and what we are lacking, so that we can work together towards making this campus inclusive overall. We would work with the EAD, we would work with the administration, we would work with whoever is necessary, we would work with students. We need to include students in these discussions because my experiences have been very different from your experiences as well as everybody else's in this room.
Thank you. We'll go to our last question. Julia, go ahead.
So it's like similar to his, and I think it's going off about safety. So this is from my own experience, hearing it from past students who were alumni who felt like the Senate has approached this topic. So I basically wrote down a question saying, there's a lot of students who feel unsafe with students' claims of reports of students on campus who are still on campus that are assaulting other students and stating groups like athletes are quote unquote all rapists. How are you going to clear the air to make those students feel safer?
Okay,
Perfect. I really firmly believe that we need to place pressure on our administration to investigate, but it's also up to those students. If they feel safe to report, we should encourage them to report, but we also need to understand that not all people choose to report, and that's respectable. But we also need to understand why people choose to not report. A lot of students, especially on this campus, choose to not report because they feel like they won't be believed, or they might feel like there are no avenues for really fulfilling the investigation. And that's complicated. And when we work with our Title IX coordinator, Karen Thalacker, she would have some great insights and input on this. And it isn't fair to really say all athletes are rapists. It's not. You know, we need to hold those individuals accountable who are a part of maybe the people we are concerned about. And I would strongly encourage those students to feel comfortable. I would hope they would feel comfortable approaching either of us to discuss this in a safe and enclosed, anonymous environment so we can help support those individuals to find the resources that they need on this campus to feel safe.
There's also an anonymous reporting link on InfoCenter. I have previously worked this past year to make that more accessible, and we will continue to work with administration and whoever it is to make that link as accessible as possible so that people do know that there are outlets where they can anonymously report if they feel to do so.
I think that they well covered it, but I will say that a lot of what happens at Wartburg is just a lack of reported cases, and there's a variety of reasons for that. But I will say that one of them is because students just don't know their resources. And I think that we need to make that a bigger priority of telling students what you can do when you're put in that situation. And I think that talking with the Riverview Center was very beneficial, as we've talked about with our freshmen. But I will say another thing about the athletes being rapists. I know there's a lot of quality in our athletes here, I think it goes without being said, but it does go back to a lack of integration between perhaps athletes and other students, and I think that working to get a better understanding of all the student body together is one of our priorities, and I think that'll definitely help decrease the culture, well, improve the culture on campus.
Yeah, and I can agree that, you know, Wartburg can be a little cliquey. A lot of groups separate themselves from other groups. That goes with the lack of integration. And you know, it's most important is we want safety for all students on this campus. And you know, physical actions, we cannot ensure that these things won't happen. But the creation of the See Something, Say Something initiative has gone a long ways. And you know, you could walk through campus halls and you see the poster and it just stays in the back of your mind. And I understand that, you know, the problems that go in with that, with the unreported cases. But I just think it's important for all students to know their resources and to understand really what's going on, how you can say something. And especially for us as athletes, we have a yearly thing that we go through about, you know, Title IX resources where Karen Thalacker comes in and talks to us about it. And I think that should be applicable for all students. I don't know why every student on this campus should not know about that resource in case something does happen with them, a friend, or someone, or something they overhear.
Okay, well that concludes all of our questions. Emma and Yusra, I'd like to welcome you to submit your closing statement.
Thank you.
We would like to thank you all for joining us tonight. It is so empowering and promising to see So many students who have showed up to ensure they are informed voters next Tuesday. With your attendance, it shows just how engaged our student body can be outside and within Senate. We both have made it very clear just how passionate we are about this campus. Our 2 years of experience serving on the Student Senate executive team is essential in supporting our next step into these positions upon being elected. Our experiences are incredibly unmatched when it comes to understanding how to effectively lead the next executive team, full Senate, and the student body.
We encourage you all to read our application, which is posted on the Student Senate Info Center page. If you have not had the chance yet to ensure that you are as informed as possible in addition to tonight's debate. We implore you all to compare potential initiatives that could truly be implemented. We challenge you all to think critically in how the student body can best be served. We are so proud to even have the opportunity to run for these positions, and we are dedicated to serving the student body in some capacity, no matter what the election results look like. Now that you've been able to hear our plans and goals for our campus, we encourage you all to start those conversations with peers to keep this conversation going. We cannot serve you all effectively without hearing and engaging in the hard conversations together.
In order to work together, we all need to hear and listen to those around us. The only way we can truly enact change on this campus is to be open to the multifaceted qualities and perspectives that the people on this campus can offer. Once again, thank you all for your support, attentive ears, and questions tonight. We hope that next week you all choose to elect us, Yusra Malik and Emma Williams, to listen, hear, and support the student body in order to ensure change and inclusivity are present at Wartburg College. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone for coming and asking questions. Your attendance and attention reflects that you share Brett and I's passion for this school and have a genuine care for its future leadership and success. Wartburg is home for all of us. We can assure you that we are here to listen to every student and their opinions.
No matter if you vote for Darren and I or Emra and Yusra, we ask that you hold the future leaders of this college accountable. With our goals and initiatives, we can build from the foundation given before us and continue to sustain excellence. Thank you.